and welcome to Fat Squirrel Speaks. Today is Monday, December 23rd. I am Amy Beth, also known as the Fat Squirrel on Ravelry and the Fat SQRRL on Instagram. Thanks for coming over kind of early in the morning. I'm on to my second warm drink. It is like coconut almond macaron or something like that from Republic of Tea. So it's a rooibos. So I gotta move to the non-caffeinated on the second cup now. My life. This aging thing. I don't know about it. But thanks for making time in your busy holiday season to visit. I really appreciate you. I hope you can find... Oh, shoot. Folks, I'm in a melancholy state. I don't know. This is not typical for me for holidays, but I'm in the melancholia. I saw, as I was getting ready to record, I saw a cardinal on the fence, and I suddenly was like in this state of like welling. I was just gonna say, I hope you have a moment of being appreciated in this season, but boy, that's a big ask sometimes. So, I don't know. I hope you can find that moment. If not, I hope you can vocalize or show your appreciation for somebody else that maybe needs that appreciation and that recognition. Yeah, let's just get right into it. Let's get into the feelings, as they say. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I know what I know part of what the melancholy is from. It's from being in a very transitive state in my life. Did we talk about this last time where I've never felt comfortable saying empty nest, because to me that like was something that capital M moms went through, and I've never considered myself like a capital M, like I'm a capital K knitter, but I'm not necessarily a capital M mom. But I think that is probably at least the periphery of what that is where I'm at. So yeah, this is like, we just had the teen's birthday, and then Christmas, we do Christmas. Christmas is coming up. I always have sadness after the solstice because I just want that darkness to last a little bit longer. And it's not just the darkness, it's the like the softening, it's the introspection, it's the twinkle lights, it's the light in the darkness that I want to last a little bit longer. But yeah, so like, I guess this is my first year as not making the holiday for my teen, but being sort of like changed into their gravity well for the holiday. Like I'm now more, I don't know, maybe I'm still a moon, like maybe I'm still affecting the tides, but it's definitely a transition. And like they're starting to make the holidays and the celebrations for themselves and with peers, which is really great. That's literally what you want. But it has created like a special sense of like unsteady footing for me, like where you're in that place of like not really knowing. Like I love a rule. I love to know what I'm supposed to do. I love to know whether or not I choose to do it. Different thing. I love to know what I'm supposed to do. So being untethered from that, has been challenging, and continues to be challenging. So yeah, I have lovely things to look forward to and so many things I enjoy, and those can be held. in the same space as like some sort of flavor of grief, I guess. But anyway, I'm allowed to have feelings and I'm allowed to sit in them, but maybe this isn't the best place to do it. So I just wanted to express that if you're needing a moment to have those feelings or just a moment of like, same friend. But yeah, so I just wanted to, there you go. The reason I'll leave it in is because I wanted to have those, like that, a kinship. I wasn't planning to have that sameness with you, but, or not with you, but you know, some of you. Anyway, if you're questioning, I just realized that this is happening, and you're like, what is happening with her hand? I have a really grubby Band-Aid on my finger because I've been knitting socks so much that I keep stabbing myself underneath my fingernail. And you know, like the first, and I use double zeros, and I use the the Chalgu lace double zeros, which is like a 1.75 millimeter, right? So when I start to stab myself under the fingernail, it's real brutal. And it is interesting. I wonder if it's like primarily the stockinette that makes me do that. Because I noticed when I knit my last pair of socks that were like a lace pattern, essentially, that I didn't experience that problem, even though I knit them quite like for a longer periods of time. I didn't have the fingernail issue. So I am wondering, and I even tried to pay attention last night after I put the Band-Aid on and was like more cognizant of what I was doing. What happens is it's like I'm pushing the needle, like I'm moving stitches, and I do that, and when I'm doing the moving of the stitches is when I tend to like stab myself. So maybe it's because in the stockinette, the stitches are moving just a little bit faster. And so it's, I don't know. But anyway, no bueno. My husband was like, "Can you just knit a thimble?" I don't think I can knit with a thimble. But the Band-Aid, like the very tiny Band-Aid, and then I cut it like a maxi pad in the middle. You know how a maxi pad is shaped? So I cut out like a little crescent on each side of the like padded part. And then that really works well. And these little welly Band-Aids are nice and sticky. So they stay for a couple of days of knitting. Ancillaries. I can't think of anything else now. I'm on the spot. But so let's get into it. So one thing I really enjoy about this time of year is I do more jigsaw puzzles than I normally do. So I just finished this one. So this is artwork by Lore Pemberton. And I apologize, I don't know how to say her name, but it's Lore and then Pemberton, right? Yes. And this is her artwork, Stay Cozy, or at least that's what the puzzle's called. And this is a puzzle by New York Puzzle Company. This one is 1,000 pieces, and it's, I don't know the measurements. But isn't it so cute? Let me tell you, this one is a bugger. Right? So I have done one other of her puzzles, and it was like a 500 piece. And it was challenging for me, which is weird for a 500 piece. But I thought, well, maybe it's just specifically that piece of artwork. But this one was also really challenging. The combination, New York Puzzle Company does the really weird shaped pieces, which you would think I would like better, because it's like very clear, like, oh, I need this hole in this piece, and it's like this shape. Like you would think that the weird shapes would actually make it easier, but it doesn't. For me, for my brain, it does not make it easier. It actually makes it significantly more challenging. I don't understand the like brain science of puzzling, which I do want to like really know more about. Because again, I've talked about before, like there's like, sometimes there's like a flow state that you hit when you're doing a jigsaw where you're not actually at all thinking of what you're doing. It recedes to some sort of like subconscious level, and you're just putting pieces in. And maybe you get the satisfaction of like the click and then being like, oh, I didn't even, not like you're disassociating, like not like you're out of your body, but just like some sort of like subconscious thing sort of takes over. And like, again, when you're driving and you miss your exit because you're on the same drive that you go to work. Oh, I guess I think that actually is maybe dissociation, whatever. Something happens because it's not sameness, right? Like it's difference. So it's not like a sameness that you're able to transcend. It's like a difference underneath. But anyways, it doesn't happen very often, but it's super interesting when it does. Or like you remember there's a piece that would fit there, even though like whatever, I find it interesting. But anyway, so I would think that the weird pieces would actually make it easier for me to puzzle. But it really doesn't. It adds like a different layer of like, what do you even call that? Images become much more confused, like because there is no clear orientation. So especially like with her illustration style, like there are, you know, larger areas of very same coloriness. And then even when they're not, like these patterns are not like directional so that you can tell clearly like which way the piece would orient. So the combination of those two things made this very challenging. I actually got like him and the rug and I think maybe the stove done, or maybe just like and the windows. And I told my family, I was like, I think I'm just gonna quit. I think this is too challenging. And they were both like, what? Why would you do that? And I was suddenly like, we had a weird like not conflict but conflict where I was just like, what do you mean? Like, of course I can just quit, but then I didn't. I just sat down and like, this is, okay, I guess these are puzzles that I can't do as casually. Like, so right now I'm working on this little Eboo puzzle. The company is EBOO. Their puzzles are very enjoyable. They have great artwork. They are a woman-owned company. They have this cute thing on the back where they do like a playlist that the artist creates for you so you can listen, which I'll be honest, I have not done yet, but I just think it's a super cute idea. This one is a happy holiday, and its pattern is the design is by Victoria Ball, and it's in the English Cottage series. So, unless you can see, those are the actual puzzle piece sizes to give you an idea. But so like a puzzle like this, I can definitely do way more casually. Like I can do it when I have like a 15-minute timer set in the kitchen. I can come in and do a few pieces. That doesn't mean I won't have like moments of, I need to go to bed, but just put this one more section together. Like I still have those, but I can sort of enter into the puzzling much more casually. Whereas these, for example, this specific one and the other one that she has done that I worked, I do have to actually sort of like sit and do them for more than like 15 or 20 minutes because that's the only way you can kind of get your brain to really like sink into things a little bit more. And they're just generally very slow going. Like before I did this puzzle, I did like a little 500 piece that my mom had gifted me. And it was a simple image. Like it was an image of like illustrated birds that was much easier. But I sat down and did it like one session, which was very pleasant. But then this one, I had on the table for like a week. Maybe not a week, but it's like what is time now? But anyway, puzzle diversion. But anyway, so I do really like, I like the New York Puzzle Company puzzles. I think they're beautiful and I enjoy doing them. And I did her advent calendar last year, which I really enjoyed. I still have because I'm going to do it again, probably next year. I wanted to give myself a year to forget, or 2 years to forget, I guess. So I do like them. It's just that specifically is quite challenging. But these ebooks are really great. They have a lot of great art. That I really enjoy. So that was the unintentional, but there you go, puzzle diversion. So then let's move into stitching. So I am still continuing to work on my countdown calendar from Kiriki Press, and I'll show you 2 ornaments that I have completed that are revealed already. So it's a countdown calendar with 12 ornaments, each taking about 2 days to finish. And she has revealed 6 of them, and then 6 of them she's not particularly revealing, although they're not particularly secret, but she's going to do it again next year if you're interested. But these have already been revealed. I love this orange. This orange slice and this wreath might have been like the deciding factors of me, quote unquote, needing this countdown calendar. Aren't they enjoyable? So cute. So there's the backs. I really have enjoyed these quite a lot. So I'm working on those, although I have taken a bit of a pause because I also worked on these guys. Right? So this pattern is called Salt Box Sleds, and it's by Foxwood Crossing. And you actually get a pattern for 3 different little salt box houses. So I did not do that one yet. And you work them on the cross-stitch paper, which is sort of just, well, it's like I think there must be like some sort of like plasticky component to the paper. But anyway, it was very nice to work on. I've never worked on it before, and I really did enjoy it. I got mine. I won't show you the kind I have because I got it from an estate sale. So it's, I think, from like the 80s or 90s. Although I don't know if that's true because I don't actually know when they started making this. I had never seen it really until like this iteration of my crafting life, or of my cross stitch life. But I think it's equivalent to a 14 count. And you, for example, this pattern, you use 3 strands of DMC. So these are just the called for DMCs. And then you can use either school glue or cross-stitch mounting, like tape, like double-sided tape, or you could use any double-sided tape, but the cross-stitch one is acid-free. I don't know that that matters because I'm not entirely confident this little wood thing is acid-free. And then you can buy these little sleds. I bought mine, I think like 3 years ago. Maybe, yeah, I think like two to 3 years ago, probably 3 years ago. I bought mine at a needle workshop, but they still sell them. You can find them in, like, I know that 123 Stitch has them and other places have them as well, because there are lots of patterns that utilize these little sleds. And of course, I don't know if I mentioned, but these are like little ornaments. Or you could just sit them somewhere, but I'm going to use them as ornaments. Are they cute? I'm just going to keep holding them up. They're so cute, right? So that's a nice little project if you need to feel like a sense of accomplishment. I think I worked most of them there's 2 of them. I think I worked them in like 2 to 3 evenings. So again, that is the Foxwood Crossings Cross-Stitch Designs Salt Box Sleds. And while we're here, I'll just show you a couple of other ones that they have designed, because clearly, I thought I had 3 sleds when I bought a pattern, but I only had 2 apparently. But clearly that meant I need to buy 3 different patterns. What's wrong with my brain? But there's also Quaker sleds. And pomegranate sleds. So apparently I need to buy some more sleds. Oh, and I stitched those using a size 24 cross-stitch needle, which I never use, but with the 3 strands, it definitely was helpful. Okay, and then I've also finished, well, not finished, I'm a block away or whatever. I have an unfinished project. I have my Heartstring Samplery Perry Pryor, a faithfully reproduced antique sampler. I have finished mine, and I used none of the called fors. I used sampler threads in Raven, or excuse me, Simply Shaker threads from the Gentle Art in Raven. And then I used Weeks Dye Works in Molasses, Cinnamon Twist, and Juniper. And I just used The fabric, oh my goodness. The fabric is Belfast linen in 32 count. Okay, so here is mine. The stitching is done, and I'm just trying to decide how to finish, whether I should mount it on like a little placky thing or whether I should pillowify it. And I stitched mine over 2 or 2 over 2. The pattern calls for 1 strand, but I just really liked the look of 2. It did mean I needed to double the amount of the cinnamon twist and the juniper that I purchased, but I found it to be very enjoyable. And I do think this is one where the hand-dyed threads really shine because it is such a simple color palette and there are bigger chunks of the color in one place. So you really get to see some variegation that makes it look a little bit more antique-y. So Perry Pryor is my name, and with my needle I work the same that every one may. Oh, Perry Pryor is my name, and with my needle I work the same that every one may plainly see what care my parents take of me. February the 21st, 18 something, aged 7 years. So the year was left out, 18 something, because it was, you could not see it on the original sampler. You can sort of see right here where there's like a hole in the sampler. So it's unsure what the year was. So if you don't like having that blank there, you could always fill it in for yourself, but I was fine with it. So yeah, that's the Perry Pryor sampler from Heartstring Samplery. Ta-da! And then in knitting, I finished my socks. Oh my gosh, aren't they so dreamy? So this is the pattern Fairground Socks from Kay of the Bakery Bears podcast. The yarn is Mustache in her perfectly paired or perfectly matched, whatever, 2 skeins. In her fingering weight, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And the colorway is a Very Hobbit Christmas. Aren't they so cute? I really love how they turned out. If you watched last week, you know that I had troubles. Oh, and I knit these on 00s, 1.75 millimeter. I had troubles. Originally, I knit the first sock and I put in the heel. I do true afterthought heels on these. Okay, so also clarification. Kay's pattern is written top down with a different heel. I just used the stitch pattern, the texture pattern, and did mine from the toe up with an afterthought heel. And I do the true afterthought heel where you actually cut it in. So I was kind of worried about the sock because it looked very skinny. And you know, a stitch pattern will oftentimes change the width of the fabric. But it fit on my foot fine, so I was like, okay, sure. Because it has a little bit of stretch. It's not like a really rigid texture pattern. So, but then when I put it on, I forgot to account for the fact that when you're stitching stretches widthwise, it also shortens up. So my sock was like 1/8 to 1/4 inch too short, which doesn't sound like a lot, but for me is way beyond my tolerance. I like my sock actually just a smidge longer than my foot, because I really hate my toes feeling like they're being forced to curl under. Also why tights. Thank goodness for footless tights, because I hate that feeling. So I knew that I needed to redo this, so I took the toe out, and then so I took the toe out, cut it, took it out, put the new toe in. I just decreased every 3rd row instead of changing it every other row. So that gave me enough extra length, but then I realized when I did the second sock that I cut the heel in the wrong stripe. There were 2 stripes that were similarly colored, and I cut the heel in the wrong stripe, which I have never done. I don't think I've ever done before. So I got the heel completely done and then held the socks together and was like, what happened? And I was really having like, did my gauge change? Like, I was so confused. It took me more than a minute to figure out what was going on. And when I did, I was just like, so I ripped the heel out, Kitchenered back the seam, and then cut the heel in the correct place and redid the heel. So, but I mean, totally worth it, right? Like they are so cute. And also my heels are different because I was like, I'm running out of yarn, I think. Between having to redo my toes and and one of my heels, I was like, that's fine if they don't match. I'm cool. But yeah, so I think they're just darling. I'm very pleased with how they've turned out. And then I also have another finished object, which you might be seeing. So this actually, if you have been with me for a while, I finished this sweater vest a couple of years ago, I want to say. And it's just a self-drafted pattern. I used the Granny Spike stitch. That's what this stitch pattern is. And just like an I-cord edging. And then I put in a zipper, and it has pockets. Okay, so I did all of those elements, and it's just totally scrappy, as you can tell. Editing me popping in to say that the Granny Spike stitch is all worked in DK weight yarns. So, and what I did for my pocket ribbing is I held a fingering weight yarn double because that's what I had available. So yeah, but the majority of the sweater is worked in DK yarns. Some of them are single plies, some of them are multi-plies, some of them are superwash, some of them are not. But it worked out, even with the fulling. Magic. I was really inspired by a lot of the outdoor brands were having their like super retro pile fleeces, or like those Patagonia ones that are even, I can't remember what they call them, but they're like extra high pile, like almost like teddy bear I don't know, they're bananas. And so I really loved them, but Patagonia, your sizing is the worst. You're very not inclusive. You have a lot of great practices, but that's one that would be wonderful if you could improve on. But also I was just like, oh, the guilt of buying fleece. You know, not that I don't have fleece things, but I'm really trying not to buy new ones. Anyway, so those things combined to make me want to have this like very like, you're wearing the Afghan that was on your grandma's like velour couch vibe, which I think I'm very successful in. So I'm just going to show you right here. Right? I think vibe check. I think I did it. That's not how you use vibe check. That usage wasn't correct. Okay, so what I had to change. Okay, so I made the sweater. My body was slightly different when I made the sweater. And also like, it was too long. Even when I first made it, it was just too long. Like, it's the first time I'd made something like this for myself. It was self-drafted. It's crochet. It's bottom-up crochet. It just was a little bit too long. Like, I wanted it to be long, but I didn't want it to like cover. I didn't want it to be like a tunic. Do you know what I mean? So it like verged on some weird space between a regular like hip length and a tunic, and it was just not correct for me. Also, proportionately, I'm very long in my torso, short in my leg. So when something is longer than like, again, the biggest curve of my butt, it starts to like proportionately look sort of confusing. Like, why is the Afghan from her grandmother's sofa 2/3 of her body? That's confusing. So I knew that I needed to do something, and I didn't want to just cut off the hem because I had pockets that were stitched in, like that were incorporated. So if I would have cut the length shorter, I would have lost any sort of like, I would have pockets like right against the hem, which it just was like, and then it would have been weird to try to get like a pocket bag in there, you know? So I just like put it away for a year, and then I thought, I really love it. Like, I love it. It was a lot of great yarns from different like travels and friends, and I was just like, I really want to work. I want to be able to wear that thing. So I decided I would roll the dice and just full it. I was going to say a smidge, but it's more than a smidge. It's full more than a smidge. But I thought I'm just going to roll the dice and let it happen. And so that actually totally worked. And it was like, oh, it's perfect. Like, it fit just great, exactly how I wanted it to. But then the factor was like, okay, I need to take out the zipper. Because, of course, if you're fulling something, you're shortening the length of it, your zipper gets like super warbly. So I had to take out the zipper. And then I also needed to rework the pockets. Originally, I didn't have... Originally, I didn't have any ribbing or anything on the pocket openings. And so when I fold it, it made there be like less ease in the hip. And so the pocket bag really gaped. Or it's not the pocket bag, but the pocket opening gaped. And you could see the lining, which at the time I had just used like almost like this color knit. And so I was like, well, that's definitely not going to work. So I had to like let that macerate in my brain a bit. So I ended up, what I did is I just picked up and did a 2x2 rib. And I thought maybe I could get away with just like the outside, but then I also needed to do the inside. Because again, the pocket lining showed. And this one is not as visible. Like I've cut out a t-shirt for myself with this, and this is birch interlock. And so this matched much better, was less like obvious that there was a light color behind the pocket opening, but it still showed. So that's what I decided to go ahead and knit on the other side of the pocket opening as well, this ribbing. So now I'm very pleased with it. Why did I use interlock for the pockets, or a knit for the pockets? I didn't want to have to add additional bulk by having to turn an edge, so interlock doesn't fray. Or knits in general don't fray, and interlock doesn't roll because it's more stable. Also, I love the cozier feeling of the interlock. If I didn't use that, I would have I would have maybe used flannel, but then I would have had to roll that edge to keep it from fraying, or like serger it, but I didn't like the thought of that look. So yeah, I just cut out a hand, I just put my hand on the interlock and traced it. And then used that for the pocket. And I just like whip stitched it down. And yeah, I'm very pleased with how my Afghan vest turned out. So again, no pattern, self-drafted, but the stitch is the granny spike stitch. And it just gives you a little bit more of a windproof fabric because there's no space in between your little clusters. You kind of drop down and knit into the cluster, or crochet into the cluster beneath you. So it eliminates that space that's in a granny stitch. But it's also still very easy if you're not the most experienced crochetist and like you tend to lose or gain stitches. It still kind of keeps you on track like a granny stripe would. So yeah, I'm very pleased with that. And then I also cast on another sock. I am using the West Yorkshire Spinners. This one colorway is, I think it's Fairy Lights, but I could be very wrong about that. Whatever. It's 068490865. One of those is the color. And I'm pretty sure they still have this color both at Simply Socks and the Woolly Thistle, and I'm sure other places too. But I bought this one several years ago, and it's just been sitting in stash. But I have well, not completed, but I've done the sock part. I need to cut my afterthought heel in. This sock is just a 3x1 rib on the top and then around the circumference once I get past the heel. But it turned out very cute. This is like one of the reasons it sat in stash for quite a while is I just wasn't as in love with this colorway. I think I bought it when they first started doing those winter colorways. Like they had a very like traditional Christmassy one that was like red and forest green with white. And then they did the robin one, which I love. Oh my gosh, by the way, have you seen those new socks on Ravelry that use the robin colorway? Okay, we just have to have a moment because they are so stinking cute. I literally thought to myself, maybe I will just rip out the cuff of the robin socks that I already have that are like, 3 or 4 years old. And I will just use that because they're not making the robin colorway anymore. And so I thought, that's it. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to be that person. I'm trying to get okay, here we go. Right. So you use the robin colorway up until you get to the cuff and then use this color work in coordinating colors. Oh my God, so cute. So cute. But there isn't, you can do them in a solid with the little cute band as well. And these are darling as well, right? In this case, she uses green. I should probably tell you what these are called. These are called a Whimsical Christmas Sock Set by Charlotte Stone of Stone Knits, because it includes the robin, but it also includes the cute little gingerbread men. But how delicious to use a striping colorway for the majority of the sock and then do a little fun color work on the cuff. I love it. So cute. So I definitely thought about buying it. And I was like, okay, settle down. You have many other sock yarns in your life that you could do something with. Because of course, if I'm going to get the robin colorway, I need to get like the coordinating colors from West Yorkshire. So now we're talking about like, a $75 pair of socks, which is a little bit more than I am willing to do. Actually, it's not. I was totally willing to do it. But then I was like, maybe I shouldn't be willing to do it. Oh, so anyway, that was an aside that I did not need to intend to make with you. But that was so cute. But so I finished, again, minus the heel one, and then I have started on the second one. And I have just really been enjoying sock knitting this season. I showed you last week a vest that I worked on. That I'd started. I haven't worked on it at all. I've just been enjoying doing ornaments and socks, which is very unlike me. But again, as we talked, I'm having some melancholy. So maybe part of it is like allowing my brain space to feel feelings, which I'm not good at. I tend to, again, I'm not alone. There are many other people who do this as well. But I tend to, while I'm not physically fast moving through the world, I'm mentally fast moving through the world. And so maybe part of this season, both in the both in the environmental sense and in the internal sense, maybe this season has encouraged me to make a little bit more space for processing some of that stuff, and sock knitting is a way to do that. Another way to do it for me, and I meant to mention this at the beginning when we first started talking, but then I got sidetracked by my weepiness. Another way that I am doing this, it's not like I have done it, because I'm not good at it. Chad Lawson, who is a pianist and has lots and lots of albums out. But I've really been enjoying those instrumentals that I can't identify any vocals to. So not like a cover of we wish you a Merry Christmas or something. But because then my brain just puts in the words, and it again puts me in a different, like, non-reflective state of mind. Also, I really like specifically piano music where you can hear the, like, I don't know what it's called. I tried to find it out. I'm not a music person. I tried to Google it. I could not find out what it's called. But the style of piano where you can hear the, like, physical nature of the keys, like you can hear the, like the, that's too loud, but you can hear that, like, you can hear the keys moving, not just from the percussive of the strings, but like you can hear the softness of when they touch down. And that really does something different for my brain that is, I don't know if maybe it's a nostalgia thing, because my grandma did play the piano a little bit when I was younger. They had a piano in the house and she would occasionally play. Just, I think she was, I think she was completely self-taught. So, you know, it was not, she was not like a concert pianist. But, or even just maybe me, like that's probably what it is. Maybe even like doodling on the keys, and like when you're actually, when you're touching the keys and they make that sound and they have that soft, you know, like the satisfaction of a drawer that has the soft close. It's like that similar, like, cushioning feeling. Oh my gosh, it's making me well up right now. There's something really, like, satisfying and about that sound, and in his piano work specifically. It's not like he's the only one, but is specifically, I think because it is just solo piano and it is probably the way it's recorded or whatever, that is highlighted more, and I find it to be, well, this state making. Not always, but it's more likely to put me in that state. Yeah, maybe that is from me. I didn't make that connection until right now. Like maybe that is like a childhood thing, like a memory of that sort of, like, just touching the piano keys, because I am not a musical person in any way. But yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Thanks for being my free therapy today. I appreciate you. Is that all? I guess that is all. I've not really been spinning, even though I've been enjoying opening my Christmas countdown calendar from Knit Spin Farm. I haven't been spinning because my dog has been especially needy. Probably sensing my weird emotional state. Also, like, having the teen home is like a different, like, you know, he hasn't been home for an extended period of time for a while. So I think the dog also gets into like a, what is this other person stealing my parents' attention state of mind. So anyway, so the dog's been especially needy. So I haven't been spinning because, yeah, it just requires me to be in a different physical format that does not allow him to sit on my lap. And so I've been using that time to do my puzzles. Reading. Okay, that's what we get to do. Reading. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is Garlic and the Vampire, which is a graphic novel by Bree Paulson. I am not a graphic novel girly. I'm not a girly, but I'm not a graphic novel person-y. But this is really very cute. It's fairly short. I got mine from my Libby app, so it's a great way to try out a graphic novel without the commitment of purchase if they're not like your thing. But I had heard about this on somebody's like best books of the year list. And it was not released this year. It was just like she had read it this year. And so I thought, oh, the library has it. I'll just try it out. It's very sweet. It's not specifically geared toward adults. Like, there's no content that would be questionable to let any age read. I guess it's an any ages graphic novel, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I would love to show you a picture from it, but I returned it early because there were several people on the wait list and I wanted to make sure that they could enjoy it. Do you ever do that? Where you're like, the guilt of like having the book checked out, even if you kind of want to read it again? It's like, but there are other people waiting for it, so I have to return it. I think I took one screenshot. Oh no, did I delete it? I'm such a nerd. All right. Well, if you do decide to check it out from your library, one of the characters. Okay, so I'm not even going to read you the like blurb. We'll just do a brief blurb. No spoilers. It's a group of sentient vegetables that are gardeners, and they're created by a witch as sort of like automaton-ish vegetables to help her garden, but then they became sentient, and they are so cute. Because at first I was like, wait, why is this garlic taking garlic to the market? I got a little bit confused, but then it was like, okay, worked out. So anyway, so it's about garlic and like an adventure slash traumatic thing that she's going through, and it's just really cute. Oh, but one of the garden creatures is a cabbage, and I need her to have a spin-off novella, please. Because she's so cute. It's like the cabbage, you know, like if you're looking down at the cabbage and you see the beautiful leaves like crust around the middle thing, that is like her face turned out, and like her little eyes are like, and then she's got the little ruffly leaves around her face. Oh my gosh, she's so cute. And then they're like wearing like pinafores and stuff. Oh, I'm sold. Yeah. So that is, and she has another book which I have on hold from the library in the series about garlic. But this one is Garlic and the Vampire by Bree Paulson. Okay. So then the next book I want to talk about is The Spellshop, which is a book by Sarah Beth Durst. I'm calling it a cozy fantasy. They refer to it as a romantasy, but the romantic line is not the primary one throughout the book, so I think it's just a cozy fantasy. Let me read you the blurb. The Spellshop is Sarah Beth Durst's romantasy debut, a lush cottagecore tale full of sudden spellbooks, stolen spellbooks, unexpected friendships, sweet jams, and even sweeter love. Keela has always had trouble dealing with people. Thankfully, as a librarian at the Great Library of Elysium, she and her assistant Kaz, a magically sentient spider plant. Just go put it on hold right now. Have spent the last decade sequestered among the Empire's most precious spellbooks, reserving their magic for the city's elite. When a revolution begins and the library goes up in flames, she and Kaz flee with all the spellbooks they can carry and head to a remote island Keela never thought she'd see again, her childhood home. Taking refuge there, Keela discovers, much to her dismay, a nosy and very handsome neighbor who can't take a hint and keeps showing up day after day to make sure she's fed and help fix her new home. In need of income, Keela identifies something that every bakery in town doesn't have: jam. With the help of an old recipe book her parents left her and a bit of illegal magic, her cottage garden is soon covered in ripe berries, but magic can do more than make life a little sweeter, so Keela risks the consequences of using unsanctioned spells and opens the island's first ever and much needed secret spell shop. Like a Hallmark rom-com full of mythical creatures and fueled by cinnamon rolls and magic, the spell shop will heal your heart and feed your soul. So I will read one review because I thought it was really cute. So Robin, whoever Robin is on Goodreads, her review is, "Screw capitalism. I want whatever this is," in parentheses, "a cute shop where I sell spells and make jam, and a hot man builds me floor to ceiling bookshelves." So that's it. That's the vibe. I did really enjoy it. I listened to an audiobook. I did enjoy it. This beginning for me was a little slow. I was kind of like, I'm not invested in this person at all. But I definitely grew to really enjoy it. Cozy fantasy, again, I'm very new to this genre, but it's sort of a challenge, especially if you're steeped in things like Tolkien and other like world building fantasies, because that is not an element of cozy fantasy, right? Like cozy fantasy is, the world building is very much, I don't even know if it's tertiary. What is quaternary, like, to the whole book? Like, it's like we don't know the lore of what Keela's species is, and in fact we don't even really get a description of her other than that she's blue, I think. maybe I read it too casually, and I do actually want to listen to it again. But anyway, so there's like references to different like creatures and stuff, but like not, we don't go into like how their people came here and like what their relations are to other peoples. So that's not an element, but it is still very enjoyable. That said, I would have liked just like a little bit more. But it's kind of I'm sure it's a fine line when you're writing these kinds of books to like keep it cozy, keep it light, and not delve into, which I'm sure the author has in her brain, of like a bigger fantasy world that she's creating. So again, that is The Spellshop by Sarah Beth Durst, right? Yeah. And so I talked to you a little bit about last time, and then I finished A Place of Tides by James Rebanks, and I definitely continue my recommendation of it. I was trying to, is it cozy nonfiction? Meaning that it's like, it's primarily, it's not like a sunny tale or like oh, everything's great and beautiful and fine. But it is a more observing of what's happening, and like there's a little bit of history, but not like a ton. It sort of feels like you're just talking to James about the duck lady in Norway, that you're kind of just like having a conversation with him about her, not like a deeper dive into like all of the things around her. That is not me being at all disappointed in the book. Actually kind of, in this case, I'm fine with what I was presented with. I would like to find out more about the eider ducks and like the whole industry surrounding them. But I was also just very happy to be deep in the like thoughts of being alone on my island and taking care of the ducks. That said, there are still moments where you have like pretty like good reflections from him about like what he's learning from this experience, and what he is understanding in a deeper way about the woman that he's telling the story about. So I didn't want to say that it's just like a very journalistic approach to it. Like it's not. It's definitely, but it's like somewhere between journalism and like nonfiction in terms of like its like crunchiness, I guess. I'm not whatever. Hands off. So that, okay, I'm not dissing journalists, I guess is what I'm trying to say, but like, you know, like basic journalism, like boop, 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 journalism. And like, I'm not talking about like your deep dive, hardcore, like deep magazine journalism. I don't know, that's probably not even right, but you know what I mean. You know, and then I also told you about before, but I did finish The Serviceberry by Robin Wall Kimmerer, who is the author of Braiding Sweetgrass and a few other books, as well as many essays. And I did really enjoy it. It is, I think, just about 100 pages or so. And I guess it originally appeared in a less fleshed out form as an essay. I don't remember where, but so it is sort of like an extension of an essay, but it was perfect for this time of year when you maybe don't have as much bandwidth to really get in deep and crunchy into stuff. So basically all the books I'm talking about this weekend are sort of like, or this week, I keep saying weekend. This week are sort of like a cozy approach to whatever they are. And that's not in any way meant to be like a demeaning thing to say. It's just that they are what they are. Because I love cozy and I like all of these books, and that's why I'm telling you about them. But yeah, so it's about the gift economy. It's about reciprocity. It's about building community, relationships. All those things. And it was a very enjoyable read. It would be a great read to check out from your library. I'm pretty sure she does have an audiobook version of it, and she's a great narrator. So it would be lovely to listen to as an audiobook, or to like pick up as you're Christmas Eve read. Don't you love that tradition? It's Iceland, right? Where they give each other a book for Christmas Eve and they just read. So dreamy. So dreamy. But this would be great for that. Or just again, when you're having like some spaces between other stuff right now. It's lovely and presented as an essay, but definitely gives you things to mull over and chew on and think about, and hopefully to like carry through your year and have like moments of reflection back. I definitely could see that. And that's The Serviceberry by Robin Wall Kimmerer. So that's everything for this week. I hope if you celebrate Christmas, you have a sparkly good one. And I will see you. I hope to see you before the new year, but we are going to have a house guest for an indeterminate amount of time. So if I don't see you before the new year, I hope you have a great, how do I really get away from that? I hope you, I hope your new year is what you would like it to be. And I will talk to you next time. Bye.